One poor boy who was babysitting became world's third largest car manufacturer, and name is Honda. If you listen to this story till the end with patience, which most of us don't have and we end up not learning in life, हम चीज़ों को आधे में ही छोड़ जाते हैं, इसीलिए हम हर काम आधा ही करते हैं. So I can bet on this. Watch till the end and you will be inspired. You will learn a lot. Must watch for everyone.
Hello, friends. My name is Rupinder Singh with 3 decades of experience in corporate leadership and entrepreneurship. Still a kid at heart, never ready to give up. Father of 2 college going kids and married to a superwoman. I love challenges, travel, and fun. Have fire in the belly and spread it around.
तो चलो फिर स्टोरी पे आते हैं. Quick. Soichiro Honda. That was the name, and he was born in 1906 in Japan, in a very small village, Mount Fuji mountain के पास में. And his father was a blacksmith. Plus, he was running a cycle repair shop, and his mom was a weaver. बहुत गरीब फैमिली से थे, and he was the first son, you know. उसके बाद 5 सिबलिंग और पैदा हुए और मर गए, just because family could not afford good health for those kids. And that is where the story begins for Soichiro Honda. Now, Soichiro was, when he was 8-year-old, he was just going around somewhere and suddenly he heard noise. He heard some voice of a strange 4-wheeler thing, and he waited and he watched. और जब उसने उस मशीन को देखा, when he saw that machine, बस देखते ही रह गया. उसके पीछे पीछे भागने लगा, तब तक उसके पीछे भागता रहा जब तक कि वो भाग सकता था. And the machine was Ford Model T. So he first time he saw the car, and it was like, this 8-year-old kid, in his brain he was thinking, how is it going, ये अपनी पावर से कैसे चल रही है, there is nobody pushing it. So he was so fascinated with that particular moment. Now coming to school, so he used to hate school. Rather, he would go and work at his father's cycle repair shop. यहाँ तक कि, he had to fudge once. He had to fudge the report. School से जो report आई, उसको fudge कर दिया ताकि parents को पता ना चले. खुद से ही स्टैम्प बना के घर से वो लगा के चला गया कि पेरेंट्स हैव सीन दैट. एंड हिज फादर केम टू नो. उन्होंने उसको कड़ी सजा दी. एक दिन पूरा बिना खाए पिए खड़ा रखा उनको, सो दैट ही डज नॉट डू इट अगेन. बट so somehow his school was going on. 1922, 15-16 साल के थे, when he saw there was an ad in the newspaper that there is a company which is into automotive servicing, which is into servicing of bicycles and cars and whatever, so he could see that ad where they were asking for some workers for that particular shop in Tokyo. So 15-16 साल की एज में he actually left the home and he went for that job. He went to Tokyo, and when he reached there, what he was told is that you are not here for working in the garage. You are here for babysitting. आपका काम है हमारे जो ओनर था उसके बच्चे को खिलाना. और इस शॉप का नाम था आर्ट शोकाई, विच वॉज very happening shop, very happening service station for automobiles. और जो उनके ओनर थे उनका नाम था यूजो साकाकी बारा. Difficult name, but you can say Yuzo. So Yuzo hired him for babysitting. और इनको बड़ी शर्म महसूस होती थी कि अब घर जाके वापस अगर चला गया क्या बोलूंगा जाके कि मैं बच्चे को खिला रहा हूं जाके वहां पे. So he did not give up. वही काम करता रहा. He was able to show his dedication to the work, and then finally he was chosen as mechanic in the garage, and that is where he started learning how to repair automobiles, and this is where the turning point came for his career. So he started doing that. Then what happened was they became very successful, and because of that, Yuzi wanted that Saichiro should now also understand the tricks of the business. So he also started sharing the business things along with him. Now, what these guys were doing also was they started participating in motorsports, because when you get into motorsports, you get a lot of attention. So they started getting into car racing, they started getting into motorcycle racing. So 1923 they started building sports cars. So Art Shokai, where he was working, they started getting cars made for racing. So this is where another learning came his way. So he started participating in the process. Then he also started taking part in the racing. Soichiro and his brother in 1924 they won the car racing. So this guy Soichiro was actually engineer and his brother was driving, and this is where he also entered the car racing scene. So they became the first one from that particular family and that particular company, Art Shokai, to win the race in Japan. एक चीज अब और होती है 1924 he wanted to go to army because he thought that once he gets into army, so a lot of his financial stuff will also improve if he gets into army. But then he comes to know that he's colorblind, and because of that he cannot join army. So 1928 Art Shokai, Yuzi, जो उसके ओनर थे, he said that we are opening a new branch in Hamamatsu, and Saichiro should actually go and head that branch. He should open that branch, and so he started that new branch. Because he was very young, he was I think all of 22, 23, so people were not really ready to believe him. So generally he had to face a lot of stuff where he was being rejected. बहुत सारे जो कार रिपेयर करवाने वाले लोग आते थे, they did not believe in him, उससे कार ठीक नहीं करवाना चाहते थे, and this all went on. But this guy was dedicated to work. So from one person, Saichiro, they had a 30% team which was then running that Hamamatsu, and then it became one of the most successful brands. And this is how Yuzi was able to do much more business from a new city, all with the help of Saichiro. Again, Saichiro started taking part in racing, and he had incredible credentials as a driver, and in the motorsport. So he created record 120 kilometer per hour in the race, and that record was there. It was unbreakable in Japan for next 20 years. So that is where he got another breakthrough in his name, and he started differentiating himself from the rest of the crowd. 4 महीने बाद he had a fatal accident while racing. Almost he was close to death, almost near experienced death. That is what happened in that car rally. He was injured, both bones got broken, and family was now dead against that he should not return to the racing. लेकिन ये 4-5 महीने बाद फिर racing track पे आ गए. He started doing that again, but this time his wife, she had a lot of arguments with him, and then it was decided that he will not go to the racing again. So ये सब तो चलता रहा. But then Saichiro wanted that he should now have something on his own, and that's where he started thinking of manufacturing car parts, and he wanted to make piston rings. So he had discussion with Art Shokai, Yuzi, and the investors of that particular company, and everybody said that, don't get into this, we will not support you. And this is where in 1936 Soichiro finally decided that he will have his own company. So he took his one of his friends, Saikiro Kato, who later became president of his company. So both of them, they started this company which was into piston ring manufacturing for the cars. Uh, so what this guy was doing is, in the during day he was working at Art Chokai, and in the night he was working in his own factory. They had a lot of problems, tremendous problems. For example, once Toyota wanted their piston rings to be tested. बहुत सारे रिंग टेस्ट किए, उनमें से सिर्फ 3 रिंग पिस्टन रिंग पास हुए, rest all was rejected. But this guy did not give up. What he did was, he went around to several sites in Japan, several manufacturing sites. He went there, he saw how things are happening. He came back, whatever learnings he had from those trips, he incorporated in his design, and now most of his piston rings were being selected. And he started getting orders from Toyota, he started getting orders from other car manufacturers. Business started booming for this guy. Next, Japan joined Pacific War 1941. तो इधर तो business बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है, business was booming, but suddenly there is a war. Japan joins war, and his factory was taken under government because of war. So what happened was, his factory was taken under direct control by the government, and then after some time, 45% stake is being sold to Toyota. Another setback. Soichiro was downgraded. Once Toyota came in, this guy was downgraded, and nobody was listening to what he was going through. Nobody was listening to what he was facing. He did his best to ensure that his company runs smoothly, but everything was going wrong. 1944, airstrikes started happening. You all know World War, was going on. And it was very well clear that Japan is now going to surrender. There was a direct bomb attack on his factory, and his main factory actually got destroyed. Then 1945, there was earthquake, and again his plant had all the problems because of earthquake. The water came in, and there was all. He was in bad shape. Japan as a country was in ruins. There was economic meltdown. There was food problem, fuel problem, and Saichiro did not have money, fuel, food. He had lost almost everything. Saichiro was gone. What he decided was, he sold his factory and 450,000 yen. आपको पता है yen का conversion rate. He sold his factory to Toyota, almost had nothing. Japan was in a difficult shape. फिर घूमते घूमते इनको एक जनरेटर इंजन पसंद आ गया जो कि आर्मी यूज करती थी, एंड दैट जनरेटर इंजन, he got fascinated with that, and he started thinking of an idea. If he can put this generator engine on the bicycle, then he can create machines which can help people in the transportation and economic growth of Japan. So then what he did was, he established a small Honda research center to develop bikes, to put that generator engine on the bikes. Order aane lage, business started rolling. Then he was not able to get a lot of refurbished generator machines from army. So then he decided on making his own machine, and he was able to do that. And with that, he was now getting a lot of orders, lot of cycles. These kind of cycles were happening in Europe already, and so he wanted to ensure that Japan also has those kind of machines, and business started rolling. Then he started making his own generator machine, and first time Honda Motor Company was established in 1948, and Honda as a name started coming. A बड़ी important, बड़ी interesting बात बताता हूँ. He wanted to raise money, and nobody was ready to give him money because he had a bad past and he had lost his business in the past. uh, उन्होंने 18,000 साइकिल शॉप्स को चूज किया and he sent letter to all these 18,000 cycle shops across the country that if we can manufacture these engine cycles for the country, it will be really helpful for the Japan, it will be helpful for the businesses as well. So people who are interested in participating in that growth of the growth of the country, growth of Honda company, should invest into his venture. Out of 18,000, he got 3,000 positive replies, and he got investment from those 3,000 cycle shop owners across Japan. So this is how he raised money. Then he got another investor by name Tokyo Fujisawa. So he became investor. He was also a strategic network partner. So he was able to bring a lot of business to him. Again, he got into racing, started making bikes. He started winning races for the bikes. Globally, he used to go and go to all the races, see which all companies are, which motorcycles are winning, and incorporate those learnings into his own machines. And second or third year of his participation, I think it was third year, he won that worldwide racing with his bike. बहुत अच्छा चल रहा. Business was booming. He became almost big manufacturer of bikes, first in Japan, then globally. Now he wanted to go back to cars. He went to all his investors. Everybody said no because they were huge, big car manufacturers like Nissan, Toyota, American manufacturers. So there was no space for the cars. So everybody discouraged him. But Soichiro, he does not get discouraged that easily. So he decided that he's going for it. So he first built a small truck, which did not do well. Then he built racing cars, and his car, RA 272, 1965 Grand Prix at Brazil. They won the race globally. And this is where he made his mark back in the car arena in the world. And still, he was not a big car company, but he made his big name because they won the races there with RA 272. And then he came out with a couple of cars, but Honda Civic became the best selling car globally. And this is where the company got big. Then came Accord. I owned a Accord. I also had Honda City. I also had a Honda Accord. So I have a very good fascination and liking for Honda as a car company. So this is a story, and he died in 1991. One thing which we all must learn from him. He said he made a lot of failures. He did a lot of mistakes. But he said, I never made same mistake again. Same mistake never became crux of his next failure. So he did not repeat his mistake. He said, I did mistakes, but different mistake every time. So he was improving all the time, and he became third largest car company in the world. If he can do it, you can also do it. Go for it. Rupi Singh signing off.